Hi friends! Happy first Sunday of Lent. For the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing short video lessons on different themes to celebrate the season of Lent, leading up to Easter. Now, when we talk about the idea of Lent, we think about the special time in Jesus' life that he chose to find time by himself to prepare and restore and rest before a pretty difficult time ahead in his life that he knew was coming. So today, when we celebrate Easter differently than when Jesus was alive, we think about ways that we can celebrate what Jesus did during the season of Lent. Of course, we give it that name and think about ways that we can relate to Jesus, even though we're not living the same type of life that the people did when they were alive with Jesus. So, when we celebrate different holidays, we think about the stories in the Bible that we've learned from and how we can apply those stories to our lives today. So in order to do that, we are celebrating a theme of healing this Lent. So each week in these lessons, I'm going to talk about different ways to heal. So what does it mean to heal? Think about the times that you use that language and that word the most. Usually, when we talk about the idea of healing, we think about times that we're sick. So when we're not feeling well, when we're not ourselves, or when we know something hurts, when we're really sick, what do? We tell someone, maybe somebody that cares for us or that's important in our lives, and most importantly, we usually have to go see a doctor. So before we talk about what special thing we can do this week to help us heal and how that's helpful to us, I want you to think about the times that you've had to go to a doctor. When you walk into the office, somebody greets you and somebody tells you to maybe wait before the doctor's ready. Maybe you see a nurse. One of the first things that happens is someone asks you how you're feeling. What's wrong? So imagine if you didn't tell them what was wrong. Imagine if the nurse or the doctor said, "How can we help you? What's wrong? Why are you sick?" And you said, "Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm not sick. I'm okay." Well, if you're not feeling well, that's probably why you're there. So if you don't tell the doctor what's wrong or why you're sick, they don't know how to help you. Usually when we share what's hurting us or what's not making us feel well, it's usually very helpful. So just like the idea of the doctor needs to know what's going on with our bodies or what's making us not feel well, they need for us to tell them so they can help us feel better. Well, I want you to apply that same idea to your everyday lives. When are the times in your life that maybe you're not physically sick, but what are the times in your life that maybe you're sad, or maybe you're angry, or jealous, or just upset and not feeling great? When we think about healing, I want this week our focus to be feeling is an act of healing. So when we feel our emotions, we know what it's like to feel sad or to feel angry, or on a good day when we're really happy, the things that bring us joy or make us feel loved. We know what those things feel like. And what I want us to think about this week is that it's really important for us to know it's okay and important to feel all of those things, the good and the bad. So when we think about the things that maybe make us sad or angry or have hurt us, we don't like to feel those things. It's never really fun to feel sad or to feel angry, but it's really important for us to talk about it. It's really important that we don't keep those feelings inside and not share them. So, a practice for you this week, an act of healing for you, is a challenge. I want you to find somewhere in your home, in your room, maybe your parents' office, some kind of paper. I have this notebook that I keep near me by my computer when I'm working to write down a lot of ideas. It kind of helps me get everything out of my head. So what I did this week is I made a list. I made a list of things that are kind of heavy on my heart. And for me, those were things that I miss. Life has been really different for us these days. We've had to adjust a lot, and maybe we've had to cancel some things that are important to us, and that's kind of what I'm feeling. I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I wrote down, and then I also wrote down a couple of things that I think you all might be experiencing. So I wrote down that I really miss seeing people at church every week. I miss children's church and having our friends able to run around and gather in that way. That I have certainly been missing. I miss being able to travel certain places. When it was easier to make plans to travel, now we have to make a lot of different adjustments, or now we just don't travel at all, depending on what we're trying to do. I have a family that I haven't seen in a really long time. That can make me sad. Those are things that I miss. I bet you guys are missing things like school not being the same, having school feeling very different, sometimes at home, learning over Zoom. Maybe you're part of a sports team or a group that has to gather differently, maybe not at all. So what I want you to do, think about the things that you're feeling that maybe are sad or making you angry or that you miss. Make a list. Make a list of all of those things. But then I want you to, on the next page, make another list. Make a list of the things that make you happy, that bring you joy, that give you love in your life. I'll share you a couple things on my list. First thing I wrote down, my cat. We're all spending more time at home, and I am spending no more time with anybody than my cat at home. If you have a pet, I'm sure you can relate. I also wrote down that I'm really thankful for FaceTime and Zoom. That allows us to see people we aren't seeing regularly still over our phones and through computers. Another thing I wrote down is walking outside. We're going to talk about walking outside in nature in a couple weeks of that being an act of healing. So this week, I want you to know it's okay to feel everything that you're feeling, the good and the bad. God encourages us to not get away and ignore our feelings, but be like Jesus and embrace them. Think of the things that we need to focus on to make ourselves healthy, physically, spiritually, and mentally. All of the ways that we can be actively healing. Happy Lent. I encourage you to make a list this week, and we'll see you next Sunday.